What up, brawlers? Welcome back to Throwing Hands. It's been hectic for your boy, but I don't know how Daniel's doing. Daniel, how you doing?
I've been pretty good, man. It's been a little busy lately, but I'm happy to be back at it.
Oh, for sure, for sure. All right, so we're gonna start with Rico versus Zach Cummings. We talked to Zach Cummings, pretty neat dude. But what are your thoughts on Rico?
Alessio Di Chirico, decent young little middleweight here. Kind of a slight of build guy, but which is going to be an interesting matchup against Zach Cummings, who's a little bit of a mauler. But Di Chirico's 6 foot at 185, decently sized. He's fought at light heavyweight before, which is interesting to me because, like I said, he's not built very big. He's coming off back-to-back losses. One of those was against Kevin Holland, but he's kind of pretty well-rounded. He's got 5 knockout wins, 4 by submission, 3 by decision. So he can kind of do it multiple ways. He's got a performance of the night under his belt when he knocked out Olawale Bamgabose with a knee back in 2017. So he's been around in the UFC for a while, made his debut back in 2016. They kept him around even though he lost. He's an experienced middleweight that has fought at light heavyweight before in his career. And he's a well-rounded guy that matched up with Zach Cummings, who is an interesting guy as we talk to him. I think this will be a decent little fight.
Yeah, and not as Zach Cummings, man. I mean, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He likes to grapple. He likes to get you to the ground. And he has some L's against Tim Kennedy and Almeida, who recently lost to Chris Weidman. So he's no slug by any means. And for Keys, I think it depends on where the fight goes. I think if Rico keeps it on the feet, he'll win this and make it if he turns into a kickboxing match. And if Zach Cummings gets to the ground, I think it's all him. What do you have to say?
I can't disagree with that. Zach Cummings is very, very well versed on the ground. That's where he makes his money. And Di Chirico can kind of roll with some guys, but he's got more knockouts than anything to his credit. And I think, like you said, if this turns into more of a straight kickboxing fight, that's where his best chance will be.
All right. To predictions, I think Zach Cummings gets back on track here. He does maintain distance well, and I think he has good enough striking ability to set up his takedowns. And I think that's what he got. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Zach Cummings takes this one by submission.
All right, here we go. On to the next matchup. Maki Patola versus Impa Kasaganai. Kasaganai recently coming off the Contender Series just less than 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. And Maki Patola, it's been 3 weeks since his loss. I don't remember against whom. Do you remember?
Darren Stewart,
yes. When he locked in that nice triangle. So to Coconut Bombs, I mean, that nickname itself is pretty self-explanatory. He has heavy hands. He's quick. He has great movement. And this is his 3rd fight this year and 2nd in 3 weeks. So we have to see what's up with him. What do you have to say about Patola?
Yeah, Patola has, like you said, fought. This is the 3rd time he'll have fought this year and the third time he's fought in the last 3 months. So he's obviously in shape. He's obviously trying to turn around quickly after that loss to Darren Stewart and get back on track. He obviously didn't take a lot of damage in that fight, so I wouldn't consider that much of an issue with it being an early first-round finish. But like you said, Patola's a guy that just throws bombs, and he's a really compact guy. He's a 185er who's only 5'9". So he's got a ton of power, and he's able to kind of centralize it and generate it because he's got such a low center of gravity. He can kind of explode and spring towards his opponent. And if he catches you once, you're going to go down, and it might be over from there.
Yeah, and it's the same case with this Impa Kasaganai, man. I mean, this dude is huge. If you've ever seen a picture of him, he probably walks around at 250. He's probably like Paulo Costa, but no one's like Paulo Costa. Let's just get that straight. And he's quite good. I mean, he throws bombs. If he catches you, I think you're done, but he's very wild. And if Patola catches him and stays patient, Patola wins this fight. And for Keys, that just good leeway into it. Pick shots, keep distance. What do you have to say?
Yeah, that's what makes the most sense for Patola. If I'm Impa Kasanganay coming into this fight, the way I'm thinking about it is I'm not trying to gas myself out too early. Like you said, he's a big guy that's going to have to probably cut a lot of weight coming into this one. But he's got quite a few decision wins, actually, on his professional record. He's fought 7 times as a pro, and 5 of his wins are by decision. So he's a guy with some gas in the tank if he doesn't blow up early. And obviously Maki Patola is going to try to make this a fight in close. And I don't think Kasangane is going to want to kind of roll into that type of fight. Because if he does, if he has to stand and bang with Maki Patola and get into a place where the first one that catches somebody clean on the chin is going to win the fight, I don't think that's Kasangane's best bet, even though he does have a lot of power.
Yep. All right. Predictions. I like Kasagane a lot, but I think Maki Patola is going to win this because he's just going to catch Impa coming into the pocket. What do you have to say?
I think we're going to see Kasangane win this one. He's a 26-year-old with only 7 professional fights. He's 7-0. And typically the UFC, you're not signing guys with only 7 professional fights, even though that was off the Contender Series. You're not bringing guys like that in against people like Maki Patola that have 19 pro fights and decent records in those 19 fights. So I'm going to take Kasangane. I think there's some big plans for this guy, and I think he gets off on the right track.
All right, I respect that. Okay, to a fight that should happen. This has been scheduled for the 3rd or 4th time, I think. Magomed Ankalaev versus Ion Kudalaba, my bad. Ankalaev, I'm just going to head right into this. 14-1, 8 knockouts, Dagestani. You know he has that pedigree. Master of Sport in MMA and Combat Sambo. And he has 4 wins in a row right now. He's quite aggressive, too. But he's controlled when it comes to his aggression. What do you have to say about Ankalaev?
You summed it up really well. Dagestani background, that kind of Dagestani background is kind of becoming similar to what you can say about a guy that's got a Brazilian background. You know what you're going to get in this fight. You're going to get a hard-nosed guy that can wrestle. But in Ankalaev's case, he's got a lot of power too. 8 knockouts. He's never submitted anybody, but obviously he's going to have that swarming style. He lost his UFC debut to Paul Craig back in 2018, but like you said, 4 in a row. And some decently impressive wins. Marcin Prokhnio, who we just saw fight Mike Rodriguez this past weekend. He's got 2 performances of the night. And obviously it was kind of a questionable decision to end that fight the last time these two went at it when Kudalaba was put out by TKO from Ankalaev. But Ankalaev's a guy I really like, and I think he's going to have a really good chance to take a step forward in this division if he can win this weekend.
Oh, for sure. And on to Kudalaba. I mean, Kudalaba is as well-rounded as it gets. He has a Sambo, kickboxing, and judo, Greco-Roman wrestling background. He can do it anywhere. 15-5, 12 knockouts. He can do it all. Very refined, picks his shots, and he likes to clinch. What do you have to say?
Yeah, Kudalaba, like you said, a pretty well-rounded background. You look at his record, 12 knockouts, 2 submissions, 1 decision. But he's not just a big mauler that's going to just try to punch you in the face like you see with a lot of bigger 205ers like him. He's a European Combat Sambo champion from back in 2012, so he's got that style as well. And this is just something that I wanted to bring up. I was looking at these guys' Wikipedia pages just in preparation for this preview, and somebody has gone on to Ion Kudalaba's Wikipedia page. And if you look on these guys' Wikipedia pages for UFC fighters, there's just a big chart. And the first thing on the left is the result of the previous fight. It would be win, loss, whatever. Somebody's gone on to Kudalaba's Wikipedia page and changed the result for the last fight between these two guys to robbery.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Kudalaba, Ion.
So obviously this will turn more to the keys, but these are two guys that it seems like they've been waiting forever to get the second fight between these two guys, and I'm so excited for it. I think these are two guys that are going to be raring at the bit to come at each other, and I think it's going to be really exciting.
Ooh, okay, fun stuff. Robbery, got to love it. Okay, so for keys, I think Ankalaev's got to control his aggression, pick his shots, and I think Kudalaba should be smart, pick his shots, and use Ankalaev's aggression against him. What do you have to say?
I think Kudalaba is going to have to come in with a high guard because we know Ankalaev loves to use his legs, loves to throw high kicks. That's what got him the win in the first fight between these two. He landed a front kick, in his fight before that. So Ankalaev loves to use his feet, loves to throw high kicks with those long legs. So a high guard is going to be really important for Kudalaba, in my opinion, for this one. And then Kudalaba, like you said, is going to have to let Ankalaev make the mistakes. That's going to be the problem. He wasn't really able to handle Ankalaev's rush right at him for the most part in the first fight, and I think that's why it ended in less than a minute. So Kudalaba is going to have to work on the pace of this fight and not let Ankalaev come right after him at the beginning, and probably let his opponent gas out early so he can take control starting to get into the middle rounds. Well, it's a 3-round fight, so the second round.
All right, so here we go to the next bout. Predictions. Give me Ankalaev by knockout. What do you have to say?
Ankalaev by KO, man.
All right, here we go. All right, Ricardo Llamas versus Algio. Bill Algio. Bill Algio coming off the Contender Series, and Ricardo Llamas, a former featherweight title challenger. What are your thoughts on Llamas?
Ricardo Llamas, like you said, former title challenger at flyweight, and here he is, 38 years old, 5'8", fighting at 145 now, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, former Division III wrestler at Elmhurst College. So he's been around the block for a really long time. He's only fought 27 times, though, but he's been out here fighting. He's been in the UFC since 2011. So this is one of the most experienced guys on the roster. Like you said, challenged Jose Aldo for the UFC Featherweight Championship. He's fighting still at featherweight. But this is a guy that has had a little bit of trouble the last few years, has lost 3 of his last 4, but they've come to Josh Emmett, Mirsad Bektic, and Calvin Kattar. So there's no way to hang your head over losing to those 3 guys. He had a decision loss to Max Holloway. He's beaten Charles Oliveira, and he's beaten Cub Swanson. This is a guy that has fought almost everyone there is to fight in the division. And he's not in a position probably to contend for the title anymore, but he's a really stiff challenge for some exciting guys like Bill Algio that are coming off the Contender Series.
Yeah, and let's talk about Bill Algio, highly touted prospect, like you said, ROC champ back in his regional promotion days. Keeps great distance, and he likes his rear naked choke. 5 of his 6 submissions have come by rear naked choke, and the other one is an arm triangle. This guy can do it everywhere, though. 3 KOs, 6 subs, so he's very decent at striking, too. What do you have to say about Algio?
Algio is, like you said, really good at keeping distance, really good at submitting people, and he sets up his submissions through striking and keeping guys at a distance. I think that's what's the most impressive about him. And he's going to have a big size advantage here. Ricardo Llamas is only 5'8". Bill Algio is going to come in at 6 foot as a 145er, which is kind of huge if you really think about it. He's not going to carry a ton of weight, but in terms of length, he's going to have a massive advantage in this fight, which I think, like you said, because he likes to keep his distance so much, is going to be really important.
All right. So for keys, I think Llamas is to get to the ground, but Algio's no slouch on the ground either. So I think Algio's just too good and with keeping his distance. So I think those my keys. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Llamas is going to have to find a position where he can get in tight, which, like I said, with that reach difference is going to be tough to do. But if he can get in tight against Algio and find an opportunity for a takedown, that's probably going to be his best bet. I'm not sure he'll be able to do it because Algio uses his reach so well. But Llamas, if he can find an opportunity to take this fight to the ground, he's going to have to do it if he wants to win.
All righty. So predictions, give me Algio by decision. What do you have to say?
I'm going to take Algio with I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm going to go decision because I think he's going to be able to handle himself on the feet, and I don't think he wants to go to the ground against Llamas.
Yeah, definitely. All right, to the only women's fight on the card, a flyweight bout, Ji-Yeon Kim versus Alexa Grasso. What are your thoughts on Ji?
Ji-Yeon Kim, South Korean, 30 years old, like you said, fighting at 125, and she's got a pretty interesting background. She's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, pairs that up with a third-degree black belt in Hapkido and a black belt in Wushu. So she has a grappling background. She's got a striking background. She's really, really a well-rounded fighter. She's got 2 knockouts, 3 submissions, 4 wins by decision. And she's kind of on the up and coming in the UFC. She's been there since 2017, has won 3 of her last 4. Her last loss was to Antonina Shevchenko, which honestly is not a knock on anybody. She's one of the most refined strikers in the world in terms of women's 125ers. But with Ji-Yeon Kim, I think her grappling combined with that Wushu background is really interesting because she's obviously able to combine grappling and striking, and it's in a traditional sense, and it's refined, which I always love to see in the UFC.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to add anything to that because you summed her up perfectly, but I'm going to talk about Grasso. Grasso, her only 3 losses have come against people that are pretty darn good. Eryk, Tatiana Suarez, and Carla Esparza. There's no slouches there. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt, smooth combos. She's very smooth with her striking, very smart with it. Do you have anything to add?
Nothing, man.
All right, sweet. For keys, I think for G, it's to get it to the ground. I think Alexa Grasso is too refined on the feet. And for speaking of Grasso, expose her G's wild punches. She kind of comes in wild if she wants to get you. So if she's smooth, patient, I think she'll catch her by knockout. What do you have to say?
I think for G, this is going to be an opportunity to take this fight to the ground. This is going to be interesting for Alexa Grasso because despite being ranked at strawweight, this is going to be her flyweight division debut. She's moving up a weight class, and I think if G can get this to the ground and kind of grind this one out, don't give Alexa Grasso a lot of room to breathe. If she's not used to carrying that extra 10 pounds, her conditioning could be off. Obviously, we've seen people have trouble making their debuts in other weight classes if they're going up or down. But I think if G keeps the pressure up, doesn't give Alexa Grasso room to breathe, she could have a really good chance to win this fight.
All right. Predictions for Grasso. I think it's knockout by Grasso. What do you have to say?
I think so, too. As much as I just talked about the opportunities that G could have to kind of cut Grasso's conditioning off in this fight, I don't think Grasso would be moving up to this weight class if she didn't know what she was getting into. And I think she probably, if she is moving up 5'5", she may be in more of a natural flyweight anyway. If she can stick G good at some point, this fight will be over quick.
All right. So to the co-main event, the ruthless Robbie Lawler, the man needs no introduction, versus Neil Magny. So a little bit on Lawler, Stanford MMA. We talked to his wrestling coach just the other day, high school wrestling, and brawler, ruthless. Ruthless Robbie Lawler. It's in the name. What do you have to say?
Yeah, Robbie Lawler, like you said, needs no introduction. He's been around the block, man. Welterweight, middleweight, he's done it all. He's come out of the best camps in the world, Stanford MMA, American Top Team, latest fighting systems. This guy does it all. He's lost 3 in a row, but it's been to Rafael Dos Anjos, Ben Askren, and Colby Covington. There's no reason to hang your head after that. Obviously, multiple defenses of the UFC welterweight championship, Strikeforce middleweight championship challenger. So this guy's done it in 2 different weight classes. He's got a ton of power, and like you said, he's got a wrestling background he can lean on if he runs into trouble.
All right. To Neil Magny, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, Army vet, presses forward a lot and likes to stretch out the fights. Many of his wins have come via the decision, 13 to be exact. So what are your thoughts on Magny?
You summed it up really well. Neil Magny's just a guy that's well-rounded and knows how to win fights. I've talked so much about how people think that Kamaru Usman is a boring fighter and that
Okay, guys, Daniel's power went out, so therefore his Wi-Fi went out. So I'm just going to finish this one up myself. Neil Magny, like we said. And so let's get on to the keys. The keys for Lawler is end it quickly. Neil Magny has a gas tank that's basically unlimited. So I think for Magny, stretch it out, but he can't end it early. Robbie Lawler doesn't have much chin left. He's 38, but we'll see what happens. So I think Neil Magny is going to take this one by decision. All right, to the main event of the evening. Sorry, it's not as fun without Daniel, I know. Smith versus Rakic. Alexander Rakic is a very underrated striker. Very underrated. He's very good at striking. No duh. Very underrated in this light heavyweight division. Anthony Smith, we're going to talk about Anthony Smith right now. He can get it done literally anywhere. 18 knockouts, 12 subs, former light heavyweight championship challenger, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, kickboxing, striking. Now, he didn't do too good against, what's-his-face, Glover Teixeira. He probably could have died in that fight. The corner should have stopped it after the 4th round, in my opinion. But Smith, he still has a lot left in the tank. He's only 32. He came up from middleweight a few years back, and we've seen what he can do. So we'll see what's up with that. And On to Alexander Rakic, kickboxing, straight kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt in case he does get taken to the ground. And he is extremely powerful. You saw his knockout against Ozdemir, if I'm not mistaken, out cold. I mean, it's like I turned out the lights in my living room at midnight, straight darkness. Anyway, so Rakic 12-2, 9 KOs. He gets it done. And for keys, I think Anthony Smith's best bet is to take it on the ground. I think Alexander Rakic is way, way too refined on the feet for Anthony Smith's liking. And for Rakic, keep it on the feet. And I think he has a decent grappling ability that he won't get submitted by Smith. So therefore, Alexander Rakic will win this fight by TKO. He won't knock Smith out cold. He has one hell of a chin. All right, guys. That will do it for right now. I don't know what the schedule is going to be. Stuff's been crazy with my job. So I'll see you guys whenever, I guess.